This is what a single drop of pond water looks like under a microscope. Can you spot the weird one? That's right. You're looking at a giant supercell of unknown origin. It's a newly described type of organism so big that we can see it without a microscope. And it could help us track how life evolved on Earth. There are some things that we know about these cells. They're around 50 microns wide. That's about the width of a human hair. And they're between 1 and 3 millimeters long. That's roughly 1/10 the width of this post-it note. They have a thick protective outer layer, and inside there's another smaller cell. Together they form something called a syncytium. There are lots of these giant single-cell organisms out there. These ones were collected from a pond in South Africa. The researchers wanted to understand how these giant single-cell organisms move. But to their surprise, they found that our assumptions about how they move were completely wrong. We thought that they moved by crawling along the surface, kind of like a slug. But when the team slowed down the video recording of their movement, they realized that they weren't moving at all. They were just kind of floating around in the water, being buffeted by random forces. Now we might have stopped right there and concluded that maybe we just didn't have enough data to say how these cells move. But luckily, the team kept on trucking. They used computer modeling to simulate what would happen if these cells did crawl. And they compared those simulations with their observations of the cells. And what they found was that their simulations matched their observations only when they assumed the cells moved by floating with the flow of the water. So, contrary to our intuition, these giant single-cell organisms don't take an active role in their own movement. Instead, they just sort of go where the currents take them. So, what does this mean for our understanding of giant single-cell organisms? Well, not much, really. It's not like we were trying to understand the life cycle of these cells or anything. We were just interested in how they move. And we learned something interesting about how they move. But that's about it. This isn't really a surprise. We tend to expect living things to be more purposeful in their actions than what we observed here. But sometimes it pays off to keep an open mind. Life on Earth is full of single-cell organisms. Understanding how they work could help us understand how life evolved on our planet. And this new discovery is an important step in that process. Thanks for watching this episode, which was brought to you by our amazing community of supporters. You folks are what make it possible for us to bring mind-blowing science to the whole internet. But we couldn't do it without you.